Alright, this is Quiz 1 Study Guide. And I will post these notes to Google Classroom if you need them again outside of class. So number 1, a model is made of a car. The car is 7 feet long, the model is 6 inches long. What is the ratio of length of the car to length of the model? So ratio of length of car to model. Alright, so since car is listed first, it goes in the numerator. Length of car to model. So if we're going car to model. Alright, now the car dimension is in feet and the model dimension is in inches. So you have to convert them both to inches. So since it's 7 feet, you're going to multiply that 7 by 12. 7 times 12. So you got 84 inches for the car, and you got 6 inches for the model. And then you have to simplify this. Alright, they're both divisible by 2. So 84 divided by 2 is 42. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I believe 3 goes into 42 as well. 42 divided by 3 is 14. So this ratio of the length of the car to the model is 14 to 1. Number 2, the length of a rectangle is 9.5 inches and the width is 3 1/4 inches. What is the ratio using whole numbers of the length to width? So look, you've got a length to width ratio that you're trying to find in whole numbers. They're giving it to you as 9.5 or 9.5 to 3.25. Okay? What they're asking you to do is to keep multiplying by the same number until both of these are whole. Okay? So if you start off and you multiply 9.5 over 3.25, if you multiply by 2 over 2, okay? 9.5 times 2 is 18. 3.25 times 2 is 6.5. Alright? So you still don't have two whole numbers. So then you would multiply by 3 over 3. Okay? But if you multiply 9.5 times 3, anytime you've got a 0.5 and you multiply it by an odd number, you're going to have a 0.5, right? So you know that your numerator here is not going to be an even number. So skip the 3 over 3, okay, and multiply it by 4 over 4. And when you do 9.5 times 4, 9.5 times 4, you get a 38. And when you do 3.25 times 4, you get a 13. These are both whole numbers, and they're in simplest form. So there's your ratio of length to width using whole numbers. Number 3. Red and gray bricks were used to build a decorative wall. The number of red to the number of gray was 5 to 2. So red to gray is equal to 5 to 2. There were 140 bricks used in all. So you got 140 used. How many red were used? Okay, look. This is like those triangle problems that we've done in the past with extended ratios. Here's how you set this up. You take 5 times a multiplier plus 2 times a multiplier, and you make it equal to the 140 that are used. Okay? This is your ratio of 5 to 2, red to gray. Now, solve for x. So you get 7x equals 140. If you divide by 7, then x equals 20. X is what's called your multiplier. Alright, so if your ratio is 5 to 2, red to gray, if you take 5 and you multiply it by 20, you get 100, which means there's 100 red bricks. If you take 2 times the 20, you get 40, which is the gray bricks. Alright, so there's your 140. The question was, how many red bricks were used? There it is, 100 red bricks. Number 4. The measure of two complementary angles are in the ratio of 1 to 9. 1 to 9. Complementary angles. So complementary angles have to sum 90 degrees. So your setup is like the previous problem. You take 1 times x plus 9 times x, and you make it equal to 90 degrees. If you solve for x, alright, you're going to get 10x equals 90 degrees, and you can divide by 10. So your x is equal to 9. That's your multiplier. What are the degree measures of the two angles? The degree measures of the two angles are going to be 1 times 9. Okay? Since your ratio is 1 to 9 and 9 is your multiplier, 1 times 9 equals 9 degrees. There's one of the angles. And 9 times 9, that's 81 degrees. There's your other angle. So your two angles are 9 and 81. Number 5. The length of, the ratio, length to width of a rectangle is 3 to 1. Length to width equals 3 to 1. Perimeter is 88. Let's see, perimeter equals 88. What is the length? Okay, there's two ways to do this. Here's the easiest way. You draw a rectangle. You make the length 3, you make the width 1. Now you can make your other length 3 and your other width 1. Okay? You set up an equation now, just like you would in the triangle problems. And you take 3 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1. Got it? So you got 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. So you've got 8 times something equals 88. Alright, if you divide both sides by 8, x equals 11. 11 is called your multiplier. Alright, if your ratio is 3 to 1, and you multiply the 3 times 11 and the 1 times 11, you get a length of 33, and you get a width of 11. The question was, what is the length of the rectangle? There it is, 33. Thanks. Yep. Everybody good on number 5? Number 6. Salsa recipe uses green pepper, onion, and tomato in the extended ratio 2 to 3 to 8. Green pepper, onion, tomato in the ratio 2 to 3 to 8. 2 to 3 to 8. How many cups of onion are needed to make 65 cups of salsa? Okay. Onion to make 65 cups. Okay, this recipe right here, in the ratio of 2 to 3 to 8, makes 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 8 is 13 cups. This recipe makes 13 cups. Okay? But you need 65 cups, don't you? So if you take the 65 and you divide it by 13, all right? You take 65, you divide it by the 13, and you get 5. 5 is what's called your multiplier. All right? What that's saying is that you need 5 times more than this recipe makes. So if you multiply each ingredient by 5, it's going to make the 65 cups. They ask you about the onions. Here's your onions. When you use 3 cups of onions, you get 13 cups of salsa. Okay? So if you multiply your 3 times 5, well then you need, 3 times 5. You get 15 cups of onion. Number 7. The measures of the angles of a triangle are in the extended ratio of 5 to 6 to 9. 5 to 6 to 9. What is the measure of the smallest angle? All right. Again, you've got a triangle. Here's what this means. It means that one angle is 5x, one angle is 6x, and the other angle is 9x. These 3 angles have to add up to 180. So if you take your 5x plus your 6x plus your 9x equals 180, you can solve for x. X becomes your multiplier, and then you can multiply that by the smallest value in your extended ratio. So 5 and 6 is 11, and 9, you got 20x equals 180. You can divide by 20. X equals 9. 9 is your multiplier. What is the measure of the smallest angle? The smallest angle is going to be 5 times your multiplier. So if you take 5 times 9, 45 degrees is going to be your smallest angle. Number 8. What is the value, or what is the solution to each proportion? You got 4 over a equals 12 over 18. You're going to crisscross multiply. So 12 times a is 12a. 4 times 18 is 72. You can divide both sides by 12. And a is equal to 6. Number 9 is another proportion right next to it. You got 2/3 equals m/15. Again, crisscross multiply. 3 times m is 3m. 2 times 15 is 30. Divide both sides by 3. And the m equals 10. Number 10. Given the proportion a over b is equal to 11 over 19, what ratio completes the equivalent proportion? A over 11 equals blank over blank. Blank over blank. Okay? So what completes the equivalent. What happened from here? What changed? What changed in the original? You got A over B equals 11 over 19. What do you think they did? It looks to me like they took the 11 and they moved it down here to where the B is. So if they move the 11 to where the B is, where do they got to put the B? Don't they got to just switch the B and the 11? Because crisscross products are equal to each other, right? So the A times the 19 has to be A times 19 or 19 times A. So the A stayed in its current position. So the 19 has to stay in its current position. B times 11 has to equal 11 times B. Well, if they move the 11 down to the bottom left, you got to just put the B in the upper right. Okay, so there's your switch. Just remember, cross products are equal to each other. All right, number 11. Got it, Josh? Are the polygons similar? If they are, write a similarity statement and give their scale factor. It says they're not drawn to scale. If you look at the shape on the first shape, they only give you one angle, but they give you some information in there. They give you some clues. This is ABCD. Okay, if all these sides are the same, or I'm sorry, if opposite sides are congruent, then this thing is a rhombus, isn't it? All right? It's just like or it's a parallelogram, right? It's a parallelogram and opposite angles are congruent. So that means that this angle down here is 120. It means that consecutive angles are supplementary, so this angle has to be 60. Opposite angles are, so you got, here's the picture you really got based on the information that they gave you. So now, they give you this other shape with the same properties. It's just smaller. Okay? Opposite sides are equal to each other. MN, KL. And since these opposite sides, 3.6 and 3.6, 1.5 and 1.5, since the opposite sides are congruent, it has the same properties as the first quadrilateral. So all the angles are congruent. That's the first rule of similarity. Second rule of similarity is that corresponding sides are proportional. Okay? So this 12 side, your 12, over the 12 side, AB, corresponds to the MN side, 3.6. So 12 divided by 3.6, is that equal to 4 over the 4 side corresponds to the 1.5. 4 over 1.5. If that proportion is true, then corresponding sides are proportional. So crisscross multiply here. If you take 3.6 times 4, you get 14.4. And the question is, does that equal 12 times 1.5? 12 times 1.5 is 18. Alright? So, since these do not equal each other, these don't equal each other. And the quadrilaterals, no, they're not similar. Okay? They're not similar. Corresponding angles are not proportional. Number 12. In number 12, you're given two shapes. You're told that the polygons are similar, but not necessarily drawn to scale. Find the value of x. Alright, so you can take that 10, that side AD, and you can write a ratio. The 10 goes over the 38. Those are corresponding sides. They're in the same location. You can make that equal to the 5. The 5 corresponds to the x. Okay? Crisscross multiply. So 10x equals 38 times 5, 190. Divide both sides by 10, and your x equals 19. Number 13. In a diagram of a landscape plan, the scale is 1 centimeter equals 10 feet. 1 centimeter equals 10 feet. In the diagram, the trees are 2.5 centimeters apart. How far should the actual trees be planted? There's your setup. 1 centimeter to 10 feet equals 2.5 centimeters to x feet. Okay? And you can crisscross multiply. So your 1 times x is x. And your 10 times 2.5 is 25. So if your x equals 25, then the trees need to be planted 25 feet apart. And number 14. In a scale drawing of the solar system, the scale is 1 millimeter, represents 500 kilometers. You make that equal to, for a planet with a diameter of 7,000 kilometers, so a diameter of 7,000 kilometers, what should be the diameter of the drawing? Alright, so your drawing is in millimeters, so you're looking for x millimeters. You're setting up a proportion. If 1 millimeter equals 500 kilometers, how many millimeters equals 7,000 kilometers? Crisscross multiply. 500 times x is 500x. And 1 times 7,000 is 7,000. Divide both sides by 500. And x equals, you can cancel those zeros and you can cancel those zeros and you can just divide 70 by 5 and 14. So in the drawing, what should the diameter of the drawing of the planet? What should be the diameter? That would be 14 millimeters. Anybody have any questions from that study guide?